Samam kaya shiro grivam Darayan achalam stiraha Sampreksha nasikagram swam Dishashchana valokayan Karmana manasavacha sarvavastasu sarvada Suvatra maitunyatyago brahmacharyam prachakshate. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Samam kaya kshiro grivam Dharyan achalam stiraha Sampreksha nasikagram swam dishas chanavalokayan Prasantatma vigata bir Brahmachari vrateshtitaha Manas samyamya matchito Yukta asita matparaha. Sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is Krishna's explanation of the Hatha Yoga system. So, Bhagavad Gita is not a text about Hatha Yoga. As I think everybody here knows, Sri Krishna is teaching Arjuna Bhakti Yoga. But there is a yoga ladder, as Srila Prabhupada used to call it. The yoga system consists of various stages, with bhakti at the very top. And and because bhakti is at the top, it includes the essential features, the most important features of the stages below it. So, the essence here are in the last two lines of text 14. Manah samyamya matchito yukta asita matparaha. So, manak samyamya means that the mind must be completely controlled. If the mind is not controlled, there's no question of any kind of yoga. And then matchito, Krishna is saying, one must be conscious of me. Then yukta asita matparaha. The yogi must make me the supreme goal. In this mystic yoga system, yogis meditate upon the supersoul, Krishna's localized, expanded form in the heart. They control their mind and senses so that they may have the darshan of the four-handed Vishnu form. But even after having this darshan, they may not make Vishnu the supreme goal of their life. Their goal may be liberation. Their goal may be mystic powers. So Sri Krishna says, Yukta asita matpara. The yogi must make me the supreme goal. And of course, this means only bhakti, only pure devotion. So, in this 6th chapter, in other words, Krishna is explaining bhakti yoga to those who are attracted to the mystic yoga system, the hatha yoga system. Now, in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, text 14, this is text 13 and 14 in 6th chapter, but in 8th chapter, text 14, Sri Krishna is speaking directly to the devotees. So we'll read this verse and you can see how the principles of the Hatha Yoga system are automatically included in Bhakti. So Krishna says, Ananya Chetha Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityashaha Tasyaham Sulabha Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yogina. Read the translation. So, this sitting straight, concentrating on the tip of the nose, controlling the breath, and remaining free of sex life, these methods in the Hatha Yoga system are meant simply to control the mind, to fix the mind. So here, Krishna says, Ananya Cheta Satatam. The mind, this means that the mind must always remain pure. The word Ananya, Srila Prabhupada translates into English. You have to think of the Bulgarian word. The word Ananya is unalloyed. You know that word? Okay. Well, let me explain it then. So in metallurgy, in the science of metals, when you have an alloy, that means a mixture of metals. But when you say something is unalloyed, it means there's no mixture. Yes? You may try to translate. So, Ananya Chetaha means that the consciousness may not be mixed with anything material. Mhm. And satatam, ananyacheta satatam. Satatam means always. Mhm. So what is the reason that the mind must be purified completely in a pure state? Because yo mam smarati nityasa, Krishna says, the function of this mind that we have is to remember Him always. That's why Krishna gave us a mind. Otherwise, if you don't use the mind for that, then you don't need a mind. In fact, it's better not to have a mind then. Because the mind will just concoct so much nonsense and create so much trouble in the world. Mm-hmm. So, this mind is meant for being fixed on Krishna, remembering Krishna always, and therefore, to do this, the mind must be pure, because when the mind is mixed with material ideas, material desires, it cannot be fixed on Krishna. And then in this verse also, 18:14, Krishna says that there is a very clear symptom to know if someone's mind is always fixed on Him. 8:14. That is nitya yuktasya yogina. That such a yogi is always engaged in my devotional service. Mm-hmm. That means that the yogi's all of his senses, both his working senses and his knowledge acquiring senses, and his mind, his words, they will all be engaged in Krishna's service only. Now that is to be understood to be real brahmachari life. I may have told you before the actual meaning of the word brahmachari. Commonly when we hear this word brahmachari, we think of a celibate. So that's all right. A person who is truly celibate, then he is to be understood to be a brahmachari. But literally in Sanskrit, the word brahmachari means something else than just celibate. Does someone remember? Oh, her hand is up. Behavior. So she should get a prize for this. This is the right answer. Yes. So one who is behavior is always spiritual. That is a brahmachari. Now in purport to this verse 6, 13, 14, Srila Prabhupada quotes the sage Yajnavalkya, and he gives a negative definition of brahmachari. So this is in terms of what is described in this verse as maituna tyago, or the renunciation of sexual enjoyment. So that person, karmana manasa vacha sarvavastastu sarvada, that person who is free of the enjoyment of sex in his work, karmana, work with his senses, manasa, in his mind, and vacha, in his words. At all times, sarva vastasu sarvada, at all times, at all places, in all circumstances, that is a brahmachari. So, but this definition alone makes it very difficult for us to understand how a brahmachari lives. We might think of that one yogi I told you about in South India who locks himself in the box. But no, if we refer to the 8th chapter, text 14, there the explanation is very clear. Nitya yuktasya yogina, the transcendentalist, the real yogi, bhakti yogi, he is always engaged in Krishna's service with his senses, karmana manasa vacha, with his senses, with his mind, and with his words. And because he only serves Krishna, then automatically he is a master of all this Hatha Yoga system, which is meant actually to seize control of the senses and the mind. Yes, but it's Krishna who seizes control of the mind and senses. Because the devotee offers his senses, his minds, his words, his speech to Krishna by keeping them engaged in the Lord's devotional service. And Krishna says, when one does this, then tasyaham sulabha, then I am very easy to attain. The Hatha Yoga system is full of so much difficulty. Of course, people nowadays, they practice Hatha Yoga, but not to attain this goal of brahmachari. In fact, they use Hatha Yoga for enjoying sex life more. Therefore, there's a big yoga society in Bucharest, and there is the yoga guru there, the guru of this society. His name is Bivularo, which of course means buffalo, and he is genuinely a buffalo guru. That is a fact. And his newspaper that he publishes is full of photographs of naked men and women sitting in Hatha Yoga postures. And I'm told that when he has his meetings, then he compliments his disciples that, oh, you're looking so sexy today. You are surely advancing in yoga. So this is, of course, nonsense. This has nothing to do with any form of yoga, except Maya yoga. So, but this is the illustration that by this Hatha Yoga system, it is durlabha, very, very difficult to achieve that goal of becoming a real brahmachari. But Krishna says, for one who simply surrenders his mind and his senses and his words to me, then sulabha, it becomes very easy. Now, but the thing we have to remember about bhakti yoga, that while the process of bhakti is very easy, it is difficult to practice bhakti without offenses. Because bhakti means to serve Krishna. And Krishna, as you all know, is the best. So Krishna invites everyone to serve him, but he's the best. So to serve him without offenses, without making mistakes, is very difficult. Just like it is very easy to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. You can learn the Hare Krishna mantra in 30 seconds or 10 seconds. And anyone can chant. But it is difficult to chant the Hare Krishna mantra without making offenses. That is because we are offensive. The proof of that is that we're here in the material world. So that is the qualification for taking birth in the material world. One is offensive. So, because we make offenses, then our mind becomes clouded. It is not ananya. It is not free of material contamination. And thus, we find Maya attractive. That's the simple test, to know how much of a rascal you are. How much you find Maya attractive. So, if you only find Maya 5% attractive, then you're only 5% rascal. If you find it 50% attractive, then you're 50% rascal. And if you find it 100% attractive, then 100% rascal. That means, you see, 5 or 50 or 100% offensive. So then obviously, offensive. Oh, okay. All right. So, so obviously, then the question is, how do we get free of offenses? So, therefore, the spiritual master is the manifestation of Krishna's special mercy to the rascals. Srila Prabhupada writes that if one is enthusiastic to serve the spiritual master, then he may make progress even though he's unable to follow the regulative principles. Or, Prabhupada says, in order to explain that point, or the regulative principles become easy to follow. So, one must be ready to give his mind, his senses, his words, karmana, manasa, vacha, sarvavastasu sarvada, in all times, all places, all circumstances, to the spiritual master. Even though one is offensive. Even though one is not a yogi, not a brahmachari. Still, if one can surrender himself or herself to the service of the spiritual master, then the way to spiritual advancement by Krishna's grace becomes open, becomes free, becomes very easy. If one can just catch up this anxiety that I must serve my spiritual master, no matter what anybody says, including Maya Devi herself, then that devotee becomes very quickly advanced. Because Krishna is more kind to one who serves his devotee than to one who serves Krishna himself. Krishna shows more mercy. When Srila Prabhupada returned to India in the early 1970s, after he had been preaching in the West for some years, then he came back to India to establish ISKCON there. And he brought some of his senior disciples from America with him. You probably forgot how to speak Bulgarian. You were in India so long, huh? So, Srila Prabhupada was riding on a train with two disciples, husband and wife, Grihastha couple, who were serving him. And Srila Prabhupada told the Mataji that I want to eat some hot rice. Hot rice. So, please, you go and make some. So, they're riding on an Indian train. But the Mataji got up and she went looking for some place to cook rice. And she found a kitchen. There was a small kitchen in one of the cars. This kitchen was for the use of the train crew. So she entered the kitchen and she told, there was some persons inside, crewmen. She said, I will cook rice here. And they said, no, it is forbidden. This is only for the crew. So she began to argue with them very strongly. And they became angry. They said, Mataji, go out. So she went out. She went to the door of the wagon, the train car. And she opened it. The train is speeding down the track. And she said, if you don't let me cook for my Guru Maharaj, I will jump off the train. So they said, all right, Mataji, you come and cook. So then she was able to bring a pot of hot, freshly cooked rice to Srila Prabhupada. And he was so pleased that he said, you are like Goddess Lakshmi. So then Srila Prabhupada, he gave the Mataji and her husband his special blessing. So let us hear how they were blessed. They had been traveling with Srila Prabhupada as his servants. And of course they were very attached to this service. They had been getting so much mercy from Prabhupada. So then the train stopped in the Delhi station. And Srila Prabhupada was going onward. His destination was not Delhi. And they were supposed to be going with Prabhupada. But Prabhupada said to them, so you get off here and start a temple. This was the first time they were ever in India. So you can imagine how shocked they were. But the Mataji had pleased Prabhupada. So Prabhupada blessed them by saying, get off and start a temple. And so they did that. Of course, it was a little difficult for them to really be blissful about this order. But nonetheless, it was Prabhupada's order, so they did it, and they were successful. This is how the spiritual master blesses the disciple. By the blessing of the spiritual master, it becomes easy to do something wonderful for Krishna. It is not something like the spiritual master reaches out and touches our head and we feel electricity in our body and we see stars and we hear music in our ear. But his blessing is that we can serve Krishna. So to get that blessing, first we must be enthusiastic to serve him. This is called transcendental capitalism. I see when I come to Sofia, the people here have become very capitalistic. Unfortunately, this capitalism is all mundane. It is not transcendental. A real capitalist is able to make money out of almost nothing. Just like Sofia, I remember back in 1990, there was nothing here. It was just a gray old city. Looked very dead. And now, 3 years later, like Chaturvarna said, he went on Sankirtan. He said, it's like trying to go on Sankirtan in London. Everyone is so passionate. So the point here is that one may have nothing or next to nothing except a little mercy. That's all he's got. But if he's a capitalist, then he knows how to expand this mercy bigger and bigger. Prabhupada told the story of a young man in Calcutta who was born in a Vaishya family. Vaishya means the mercantile or business community in India. So this young man wanted to establish his own business. But at this time there was economic depression in Calcutta. Because there was a plague, a pestilence, a disease that had spread through the city. So many people had died. The whole city was very disturbed. So it was not a good time to start a business. And this young man had no capital of his own. So he went to a very wealthy businessman. And he said, "Please, sir, if you can give me a loan, loan me some money, then I can start my own business and then I will pay you back." So that wealthy businessman, he pointed to the street outside. And out in the street, there was a dead rat. Yeah. He said, "Here is your start capital." Now, there was this, as I said, this plague, this disease spreading in Calcutta. And it was spread by the rats. So the city authorities had offered that anyone who brings a dead rat to our office, we will pay them something like 2 or 4 pennies. So the young man, he understood what the wealthy businessman was telling him. So he went out, he picked up that rat, and he went around, he found some more, and then he brought all these dead rats to the office, and he got money. And because he was an expert capitalist, he invested this money in something, made more, and then after a few years, he was one of the wealthiest businessmen in India. All started by one dead rat. So similarly, the spiritual master, he gives us a drop of mercy. He allows us to serve him. And if we are enthusiastic, then that drop of mercy increases and increases until we have a whole ocean of devotional service. And we know that we're getting Spiritual Master's mercy when he asks us to accomplish very difficult tasks in Krishna's service. For instance, to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. That is not so easy. Actually, that service of distributing Srila Prabhupada's books is meant for the most advanced devotee. But there are not too many advanced devotees. So therefore we just say, everybody should go on book distribution. In this way, everybody gets the mercy. And if we become enthusiastic, simply enthusiastic to carry out the order, whether we're able or not, but just we feel that we must do it, then the mercy increases and increases. And how do we know? Because we are able to distribute more and more books. So, book distributors can learn from this verse that we've read today, because it's a verse of course it is directed to the mystic yogis, but Krishna is telling them how they can become steady in spiritual realization. And so similarly, one becomes steady in the activity of distributing Srila Prabhupada's books by keeping the mind pure, keeping the mind free of thoughts of sense gratification. And by accepting the book distribution service as his regular daily activity, regulation is all important in yoga. This is how the yogi attempts to conquer his mind, by regulating everything. So here you see the deity worship. It is regulated. Deity worship cannot be whimsical. You see? It's not that the pujari does an arti or makes an offering just when he feels like it. If someone has that attitude about deity worship, then he should not be pujari. The same with the morning program. It is regulated. Same thing every day. We have Bhagavatam class at a certain time. Not that one morning it's at 6 o'clock, the next morning it's at 8:30, third morning we don't have it at all. And we take prasad at certain time of day. So anyway, we see how in sadhana bhakti everything should be very strictly regulated. No matter how we feel, whether we feel good or not, still one must follow the schedule. And this same principle must be applied to the book distribution. If one is actually a book distributor, just like if one is a pujari, then that means he goes out regulated every day for a certain amount of time, and he distributes books, whether it's successful or not successful. And the secret to all of this is enthusiasm. The word enthusiasm. Did I explain this word to you before? No? It's a very interesting word. The root of the word enthusiasm comes from the Greek language. So the root is theos, which means God. So enthusiasm, one who is actually enthusiastic, is one who is inspired from within by God. So one who is always remembering Krishna, that's the point of yoga. Then he's always enthusiastic to serve Krishna. And then by going out and serving Krishna in this regulated way, he becomes more and more and more enthusiastic because Krishna becomes more pleased with him. But the start capital is enthusiasm. And you get this start capital from the spiritual master. First you become enthusiastic to serve him. Then he gives you your first dead rat. That was just a joke. He gives you the first drop of mercy. And as we reinvest this enthusiasm that he gives us in serving Krishna, and that means if we get his blessing, we will accept difficult service. Just like Srila Prabhupada told those two. Get off here and start a temple. So this is the real proof that we're advancing. The spiritual master will tell us, get out and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. Oh, it's so difficult. Doesn't matter. Be enthusiastic. Go do it. And this enthusiasm displaces, it kicks out all the false enthusiasms for Maya, which are not real enthusiasm, because as we say, the root is theos. It is God. Real enthusiasm means only the inspiration to serve God, to serve Krishna. All other kinds of enthusiasm are not enthusiasm, it's just Maya. So for one who's really enthusiastic, then this whole material display out here, it is uninteresting. The only thing that's interesting is here's an opportunity for me to preach, here's an opportunity for me to sell a book. As I hear in Sofia, one sees on the streets the young ladies in their half-naked dress, summer dress. So one who's, one who has this false enthusiasm, mayic, material enthusiasm, then he finds that pleasing. When he sees such things as that, he feels some illusory happiness, or it's just lust. But he thinks this is very nice. But one who's enthusiastic to serve Krishna is a brahmachari. And when he sees such things, he actually feels pain. He feels sorry that why are these poor bewildered souls doing this foolishness, and in this way getting themselves more and more entangled in Maya. And he feels the only thing that can help such foolish souls, such buffaloes, is Srila Prabhupada's books. And so, what becomes a source of enthusiasm for ordinary people to fall deeper and deeper into Maya, for a devotee of Krishna becomes a source of enthusiasm to increase the book distribution, increase service to Krishna more and more and more. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hare Krishna.